Yesod is the 9th Sephirah on the tree of life that correlates with the reproductive organs of Adam Kadmon. It is the creative center of the Nefesh that generates the astral body and one's perception of the astral planes. It is the core of the imagination which holds the vision of the machinery of things, that part of you that beholds the working component parts in all things in the universe, beholding the moving, mechanical and clockwork-like mechanisms within creation, and the anatomy and physiology of the soul, the Nefesh, the place from whence one creates oneself into the earth-bound world. Yesod means foundation, as the electromagnetic template from which all things are formed from the ether. It is the ghost-like visage or astral template through which all things are fashioned in the physical universe. Thus, as we are created from the spark of orgasm that our parents experience in union, from this spark of light, our soul enters the physical realm. And within this spark of light are all the details of our being, genetic, physical, and soulful, like an inbuilt program. And to an extent, the information that delineates our destiny in this world through what we are attracted to and repulsed by. It is called the storehouse of images, as it is the subconscious realm of dreams, where Malkut is the word expressed through actions and deeds. Yesod is the realm of symbols that hold subliminal meaning and impetus. The divine name of God in Yesod is Shaddai El Chai, which means Almighty Living God. It is the vitality of the soul which feeds into the health of the body. It is the spirit innate within the body from its astral source and electromagnetic template. It is the perspective we have from our own unique individual aperture, that is, the artful manner through which we perceive and create ourselves into the world. As the vital life in the soul and body, it is comprised of two main forces, virility and fertility, which unite in creativity. These masculine and feminine creative forces, from the white and black pillar respectively, find their foundation in Yesod and give birth to the world by creating our own unique strain of perception upon it. Indeed, the perception we have of ourself in this universe is the foundation of and access point to existence. Thus, our perceptive organs that mirror on the earthbound plane, the senses of Adam Kadmon, back up in a subconscious synesthesia to one living artistry through which we imagine ourselves from within and without into the world. Mankind was created in the image of God. In the image of God he created them. As we come to imagine our divine self as the union of male and female through our individual creative efforts, so do we attune to Shaddai El Chai, the Almighty Living God. For from our own creation can we empathize with the Creator and comprehend our divine self in its image. From the storehouse of images can we fashion our being with living, breathing vitality. All the archetypes which influence our creative streaming are the gods whose personalities are the partsufim or countenance of the members of the one living God, Shaddai El Chai. It is from this living foundation that we are created and from which we create. Thus, as we have broken down the aspects of the creative spirit into the mechanics of the soul and its expressions, we have attuned to the modes of creation through the gods, which are the essence of pagan consciousness, as the wanderers, the planets and their subtle influence through all faculties of life, including the aspects of the psyche, the organs of the body, and their physiological functions. Pagans worshipped through the gods to develop their many faculties within the soul, just as we may do so through the Sephirot. Through cultivating our creative soul through the gods, may we come to understand their pantheon in entirety as the one living God, Shaddai El Chai. The paths on the tree with their associated zodiacal and planetary affiliates were mapped by the ancients and solidified in the temple of Luxor, where each shrine and sanctuary was a body part, an associated psychic or metaphysical function, a planet or sign of the zodiac, and a god. In its entirety, it was the god Atum, meaning to be everything or to be nothing, the completion. This singular deity that encompassed the entire pantheon of gods was called Theos in ancient Greek. Each pantheon of gods with their associated myths indeed do reflect the philosophical and metaphysical relationships between cosmic forces outwardly and psychic and psychological forces inwardly. Just as the one God in Kabbalah is Ein Sof, the limitless being, his or its many aspects are embodied in his members as the divine names of the Sephirot, personified by the angels and their divine attributes, and are signified by the letters or paths upon the tree. The relevant functions and relationships between the paths are called the workings of the light, and are symbolized by the Merkava, the soul chariot, or vehicle in which the soul sits, which is made of the angels and propels us into destiny. The Merkava is the vehicle through which prophecy is attained. Tikkunim are the adjustments of these workings of the paths of light to increase the greater efficiency of the vehicle of prophecy. It is through the gods, the planets and zodiac, or the divine names and angels that tikkunim is achieved, aligning the soul with the divine template, with astral workings for its refinement and gradual evolution called mezukak hishtalshilut. Thus is beheld the vision of the machinery of things. The divine name Shaddai El Chai aligns with the tarot of the Nine of Wands, Atzilut in Yesod, and the fire of the moon. It is our creative flame, our artistic flair from which we create ourselves and the world around us through the way in which we perceive it. It holds the divine qualities found in the angels, which we may come to imagine and embody. The archangel of Yesod is Gabriel, which means God is my strength, also called the divine husband, who has guided humanity to imagine since the beginning of the Judeo-Christian Muslim traditions, the religions of the book. He enunciated Christ's mother Mary and dictated the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. He also influenced the lives of many great saints. Gabriel is the angel who bestows upon us the imaginative ability of astral perception and experience, waking us up from the grave of the physical world and body with his trumpet, and filling us with the light that shines into the astral planes to perceive better clarity of judgment. He meets us at the end of time in the last judgment, where our souls are deemed to rise or fall according to the weight of our actions and their consequences. As the archangel of the foundation, he connects us to the earth through all that is behind us, our reality, our childhood, our ancestry, all that we have emerged from. He is the support offered by our beliefs. Gabriel is signified in the tarot by the Nine of Cups, Bria, creation in Yesod, and the water of the moon. For when we find the right perspective with which to perceive the world, creation pours forth its wonders through us and upon us, as the culmination of past efforts and the recreation of ourselves in the light of better judgment. Through acute perception, good fortune is granted by the angel. Through clarity of feeling do we attract the light of abundance to us. With clear imaginings, we overcome our problems and find resolution and satisfaction. Gabriel's choir of angels in Yesod are the cherubim, the childlike ones, or the blessed ones, who are virile and fertile, creative angels who transfer the astral light to the initiate. The cherubim are often portrayed in art with childlike facial features representing the angelic creative essence of innocence. However, they are often spoken of as adult-like figures with four faces of a man, a lion, a bull, and an eagle, representing the 4 cardinal worlds in one. They are the eternal blessings that bolster the throne of the Most Holy One. They are the 4 cardinal angels in one presence, with 4 faces to the 4 directions around the soul, symbolizing the 4 elements, the 4 worlds of the Holy Kabbalah, and the 4 letters in God's holy name, Yod He Vav He, the Tetragrammaton. They are the angels through whom we approach the throne, the dwelling place of the divine presence. They dwell at the foundation of the tree of life and hold the revolving flaming sword that guards the passage into Eden. The original meaning of the revolving flaming sword is closer to a flame that turns itself inside out, rather than revolving. The Eshmit Lakachat, or self-consuming fire, a symbol for the introspective perception and experience of the soul that allows us to behold its truth by turning it inside out. For as we behold its inner workings, we are at the same time experiencing, emanating, and transforming through it. It is a flame that emits and absorbs light back into itself at the same time. It is the self-psychoanalytical process of the subconscious, the dreamer beholding the dream, which alters the dreamer and therefore the dreaming. They are the innocent state of the soul that, when attained to, grants us passage into Eden and to the tree of life, where the immortal soul dwells. For without that childlike innocence, we could not perceive the pure state of creation untainted by the Sitra Achra. Through them we absolve our fear, guilt, sin, regret, remorse, despair, etc., and come back to the pure, receptive, momentary perception that allows us to behold creation untainted, clear and fresh, and dwell in its presence. The angels sculpted on the lid of the Ark of the Covenant, Sandalphon and Metatron, are described as cherubim. For they protect and bless the Ark by supporting the holy presence. They are its Yesod, its foundation. The cherubim align with the tarot of the 9 of Swords, Yetzirah in Yesod, and the heir of the moon. Although this refers to confronting the negative things you hold on to psychologically, the fears and doubts that haunt you at night, it is also the place where in your individual aloneness you may confront and overcome these anxieties and find respite. Thus, calling upon the cherubim, and through introspection, observation, adjustment of perspective, and the mode through which we create ourself, may we come back to the blessing of our childlike innocence, untainted by our traumas, and re-enter Eden to the immortal state of the soul at the tree of life. This is a place of angelic exchange through which we may move past inner trauma and be open to the blessings that allow us to create ourselves in a better light. However, to maintain this inner light, we must overcome the darkness of our underworld. Let us look at the nature of this darkness that holds us back from such pure, uncontaminated creation. The archdemoness of Yesod is Lilith, the night spectre, ancient goddess of the night and its creatures like the screech owl, queen of the night of demons, derived from an ancient Mesopotamian disease-bearing wind spirit, and equated with the degraded goddess of the underworld, Ereshkigal. Thus, when people stopped acknowledging and dealing with the darker side of themselves and the world around them, Lilith was forged. A disgruntled and vengeful female spirit that destroyed the sanctity of hearth and home, health, family, and loving exchanges in relationships. The Babylonians buried talismanic bowls with inscriptions to ward off the Lilitu demons of the wilderness that were said to make children sick and to sow fear and doubt amongst family members. She is the bearer of destructive witchcraft and the lure of seduction that destroys marriage. She is the psychological lure towards sinful acts that promote unhealthy living, which brings disease and darkens the clear light of divinity, not only through trauma, but through the bastardization of individuality, which alleges to be superior and acts without empathy. She is the dark spirit in the psyche, bitter from its loss of innocence, that seeks revenge by destroying the innocent. However, in Babylon she was described to be male or female. Thus, any person that sought maliciously to destroy the innocent were possessed by the Lili, male, or Lilitu, female. Lilith, the primordial wild female spirit, was alleged to have first been offered to Adam, humanity, as his wife, but she refused to be subordinate to him and was cast from Eden. Yet she took Adam's seed to create a race of demigods instead of men, called the plagues of humankind, and she merged with the angel Samael. Lilith and Samael became the clipotic version of Adam and Eve, who rather than promoting the evolution of humanity, pillaged it for their own selfish desires and amusements. She is the spirit of superiority and the arrogance of class, caste, and social segregation. She sows enmity in families between husband and wife, and may darken a child, creating a black sheep, so to speak. In this process, as traumatized individuation is created, communal unity is destroyed. She is the wild chaos that unhinges order in society, the sorcery from the primordial races that preceded humanity before it began to adhere towards divinity. References to Lilith in the Zohar include the following. She roams at night and goes all about the world, and makes sport with men, and causes them to emit seed. In every place where a man sleeps alone in a house, she visits him and grabs him and attaches herself to him, and has her desire from him, and bears from him. And she also afflicts him with sickness, and he knows it not. And all this takes place when the moon is on the wane. Babylonian texts depict Lilith in the position of the handmaiden to the high priestess of Inanna, Ishtar, as the chief of her temple prostitutes who did her bidding, seducing and manipulating social ties. Her demon was forged when the spirit lost its connection to the Holy Mother Inanna, and roamed free as a succubus, creating social havoc. She is said to be the progenitor of dominating bloodlines, the Anunnaki, the sons of the gods, the giants of old, or men of high renown that became the oligarchies and corrupt monarchies of the world, claiming superiority over mankind and enslaving them for their own devices. The minions of Lilith are Gamaliel, the polluted ones of God, the obscene ones, the blasphemers, who curse the lesser people and act as degenerates. It is the realm of misshapen and polluted images that produce vile results and a distorted or destructive sense of fertility. On a plain physical level, this signifies the sexual urge which is never satisfied, but always demanding new and stronger stimuli, and thus consuming vitality and creativity without offering anything in return. Gamaliel is an angel and a devil. In the Nag Hammadi and other Gnostic literature, Gamaliel has the meaning of recompense of God, or God's reward. Gamaliel is a great aeon, or angel-like demigod, whose name is mentioned frequently for graciousness and protection. Yet this gracious angel becomes a devil when our corruption or sins reward us with a profligate form. They are like the corrupt aristocracy that is always overthrown for their decadence and lush indulgences at the expense of the poor. In their distaste for humble people, they become distasteful in themselves. Yet in God's eyes, we are all equal. They are the misshapen and polluted images in Yesod, as they form before their manifestation in Malkut. Their outer form is Ogiel, those who flee from God. They are licentious and loathsome, and associated with rapists, pedophiles, and souls that have fallen into depravity. Thus, to redeem the soul in Yesod, all virility and fertility, united in its creative essence, must be channeled and moulded with the virtues of the divine realm. It is a dilemma, and not unlike the parenting-like practice of showing sexual reserve around children who have not yet come into their creative power. It is like Adam and Eve after their first coitus, that taste of their creative power, and who then feel shame, the natural emotion that guides us to show responsibility with such power. Unable to comprehend and apply this shame, dealing with feelings of rejection and abandonment, they lose their sense of innocence and are expelled from the holy presence of the bliss of Eden to seek it outwardly through the toil of work and reproduction. The Gamaliel are the devils of shameful feelings that lead individuals to perform shameful acts in rebellion of their responsibility with creation. Yet to hold shame as a guide for our creative acts morally and ethically brings the reward or recompense of social harmony and soulful luminescence. The glimmers of Eden will always shine through the innocent spirits of children, reminding us of the Eden from which the soul came. The responsible social creative power is embodied within the Archangel Gabriel and expressed through the cherubim. It is through tikkunim that all obscenities are smitten, and the clear soul is beheld through the esh mitlakachat, the self-psychoanalytical, inwardly radiating flame of astral perception. All psychological anomalies are corrected so that the imagination is not augmented, but beholds what is holy and what shines through the innocent nature of our childlike souls. As Yesod is the sexual center, it is most easily defiled, for it is where we become open to exchange with others. The power of creation is a wonderful thing that can easily be distorted into a licentious form. People hold traumatized psychological traits at the corruption of their childhood innocence and will go to all manner of lengths in reaction to this loss. With the birth of creative power comes the realization of what is right and wrong, and of the inward trauma that requires healing. This birth from family into society at large can cause great damage and misconceptions which may lead people to all sorts of perversions and depravities to attempt to rectify this trauma. Yet sexuality can be the greatest intimacy through which we experience love. It can be the greatest bonding agent through which exchange takes place, and from its fertility, children, life, and art does emerge. One must overcome the delusion of the Lilith-like dominance that seeks to subjugate for a false sense of power, and accept that all souls are of value and equal. As in Shaddai El Chai, the almighty living God, all are significant in the might of his life-giving creative power. There truly is always a higher power above us all, giving us a collective social experience of progressive evolution. Whether we like it or not, we are all in this together. The planetary affiliate of Yesod is the moon. It is the part of us that reflects upon creation, and yet the intensity of our ability to perceive waxes and wanes in its cycles. It is the pure power of imagination and the ability to imagine ourselves and create ourselves from such imaginings. It is our passion, our sexual and social impetus, the acuteness of our ability to clearly perceive the world through the senses, but more so through the psychic sense that peers into the astral planes. Through this clarity that comes from our ability to give and receive, can we penetrate the veils of illusion and behold divinity in all its luminescence. It is the subconscious realm of dreams and the power of the dreamer to create into it. It is the way we grasp and conceptualize through the mirror of the world around us, empathizing with it, comprehending it, creating ourself in amongst it. Thus, all lunar deities and their attributes are assigned to the Sephirah, like Selene, Diana, Artemis, Chandra, Koyal Shaokui, Khonsu, Sin, and the great goddess Hecate, triple goddess, maiden, mother, and crone, who rule the moon's phases of waxing, full and waning, goddess of spells and magic, who holds the key to the temple, who is present at the opening, duration, and completion of a magical ceremony, the essence of divination, preparation, creation, and fate, who embodies the complete comprehension of lunar consciousness, its darkness, and its light. The tarot card associated with the planetary aspect of Yesod is the Nine of Pentacles, a seer in Yesod, and the earth of the moon. It is the sexually driven social exchange of giving and receiving in action, and the way we refine ourselves through our peers and society to manifest our creative deeds. It is our social status and the reward we get for our individual feats, where we may enjoy them in abundance. By mastering our creative output, we find our place in society and the world, and come to embody the lunar deity that flows with the tides of creation, thus enjoying the festivity that is life from our artistically fashioned perspective that we have achieved through imagination and creation. The earth was created as a substantial place for tikkunim, to mirror this rectification in our actions. The moon, however, is that mirror. When we turn inwards and unite the four elements within us, we beget the ether. The ether is perceived through the lunar astral light that penetrates into us, or that we pierce through into, as the substance of the imagination, the light of dreams. The act of penetrating the subconscious realm of Yesod is metaphysically sexual. A sense of elation and a sensational build to an orgasmic climax is associated with it. One rises up within oneself, or is receptive to that rising euphoria to feel vitalized, strong and healthy. The act of bringing forth spirits from this subliminal realm into the waking physical world is magic. It is the lunar power that calls forth from the ether. The light of Yesod reflects one's soul. For when the unholy Gamaliel looks into the mirror of dreams, they see the monsters that they truly are looking back at them. Those who live as righteous beings, however, see themselves in the light of Shaddai El Chai, the Almighty Living God. God's might and power comes through cultivating our virility and fertility. He is in our ability to create ourselves as we would imagine ourselves to be in the light of the divine. He is the creative process and flow itself. To unleash the flow of creation, we must embrace the vitality within our soul and let nothing hold us back. Hence, Gabriel clears the way behind us. Yesod, even though it is creative and passionate, is also psychological. The Kabbalah has been described as a tool for self-psychoanalysis. To be able to improve the nature of the soul and its creative essence, we must acknowledge our dark flaws. Only through this can we see room for improvement and development by showing better judgment. Every time we retrieve flawed aspects of the soul and purify them, recreate them and make them healthier, do we return to the strength of our innocence. The presence of this innocence is the cherubim who live in the pure creative flow bestowed as blessings upon the world. Those who sit idle and do not participate in the greater creation are taken by Lilith, immersed within their own deceptions and indulgent delusions, afraid that their illusions might be shattered, that the magic mirror may not show them as the fairest of them all. The countenance of Yesod is in the implantation of one's creative essence within society. It is our pagan face who see the gods and spirits beneath all things, working within the subliminal construct, the noosphere, to procure all emergent actions. As we come to imagine ourselves and refine our attributes, we may be blessed with the vision of the machinery of the universe and view God's design beneath all things. For this substructure is the key that gives access to deeper realms, and the paths are lit by lunar light, astral reflections and keen perceptions of emerging creation. If Malkut is our sensibilities and guidance, then Yesod is heightened perception to a psychic and refined artistic level. Yesod is our prime attributes that, if we cultivate, brings us to our full state of health and strength physically, sexually, psychologically, and creatively.